Heard your check cleared. I'll come by for the money tonight, don't go anywhere, my son said. I didn't need to check the caller ID. Aaron's voice had its own weight, tight-clipped, like someone always holding back the next threat. Okay, I said quieter than I meant to. The line went dead. I didn't move for a while. The room seemed to settle around the words. 2 years ago, I would have asked why, pushed back, cried. But now the fight had gone thin, like air leaving a tire. Jasper brushed against my leg, his white fur collecting dust from the corners. I bent down slowly, careful not to let the ache in my chest show. At least you don't ask for things I can't give, I murmured, scratching behind his ear. He blinked up at me, loyal in his silence. I filled a mug with the last of the morning's coffee. Cold, bitter. Still I drank it. The weight in my chest wasn't from caffeine. The envelope I kept in the drawer was thinner than it should have been. I'd already taken out 40 for groceries and 30 for my prescriptions. There wasn't much left. Aaron wouldn't care. He never did. Rent, power bill, groceries, none of that mattered to him. Just the number. The amount. The house creaked as I moved back toward the living room. I sat by the window watching leaves skitter across the sidewalk, like they were trying to escape too. I used to imagine this room filled with birthdays, grandkids, laughter, but now it was the waiting place. Where I sat when he came. I pressed my hand to my chest again where the tightness hadn't left. He would knock in a few hours. He always did. And I would open the door. I always did. The ache starts slow, a pulse just below my ribs. Faint enough to ignore if I keep moving. I rinse the coffee mug, wipe down the counter. Anything to stay upright. But the pain sharpens when I reach for the cupboard. My hand trembles. I look for the orange pill bottle, the one I refill every month. It's gone. No, it's there, just light as air. I shake it. Empty. The grocery envelope beside it is the same. He took more than half last week, said he'd pay me back once things evened out. I knew better than to ask when that might be. My breath comes shallow now. I press my palm against the countertop, feel the cool laminate under my skin. It doesn't help. The tightness grows, spreading up through my chest until my arm tingles. Nerves, I whisper. Just nerves. But the word barely leaves my mouth before everything around me blurs. I stumble toward the table, catch the edge of a chair. Jasper lets out a sharp cry, startled, his claws skittering on the tile. I reach for the phone. The buttons blur, but I find them by memory. 911. The voice that answers is calm, practiced. Ma'am, are you alone? I try to say yes, but the sound catches. Chest. Can't breathe. She keeps talking, asks my name, my address. I give her pieces. My voice fades between them. The floor tilts. My knees hit hard. Jasper's fur brushes my wrist, warm, panicked. The light above the sink goes too bright, then softens, dimming at the edges. Somewhere far off, sirens begin to rise. I focus on that sound, hold it like a thread. Then the world slips. The last thing I see before everything folds in is Aaron, 7 years old, grinning through a missing tooth, holding a little league bat too heavy for his hands. He's waving. He's still smiling. And then it all goes quiet. The room smells like antiseptic and boiled linens. I sit propped against the pillow, trying not to wince when I shift. A nurse adjusts the IV drip. Then the door opens again. This time it's the doctor, the younger one with tired eyes, and a name tag I can't quite read. He checks the monitor, scribbles something, then pauses. His gaze drops to my arms. I see some bruising. He says soft but pointed. Are these recent? I glance down. Purple shadows bloom along the underside of my forearm, faint but visible. I'd forgotten they were there. I bruise easy, I say quickly. Old age. He doesn't move, doesn't nod, just waits. After a beat, he says, "We're going to ask a social worker to come by." Just a conversation. It's protocol when we notice certain signs. I close my eyes. Not because I'm embarrassed, not even because I'm afraid, but because someone finally said it. Not abuse, not assault. Violence. The kind that doesn't leave marks where you can see them. The kind that drains you quietly, month after month, until the floor gives out under your feet. A few hours later, there's a knock so gentle I almost don't hear it. She steps in. Brown slacks, flat shoes. Clipboard in hand. Mid-40s, maybe. The kind of calm that feels practiced, earned. "I'm Elise," she says. "I'm not here to judge or fix, just to talk, if you want." I nod, even though I don't feel ready. She pulls a chair beside my bed and waits. My mouth is dry. My hands tremble against the blanket. But when she finally says, "Tell me what you can," the words come easier than I expected. I don't give her everything, but I stop pretending there's nothing to tell. The bed beside mine stayed empty until late afternoon. I heard the wheels of the gurney first, then the rustle of paperwork, soft greetings between nurses. I didn't turn to look, not at first. But when the curtain pulled back and she eased into the space with a faint groan, I glanced. White bun, square glasses, shoulders held like a question mark. She set her purse on the side table with care as if it held something fragile. "Lila Tom," she said to the nurse. "Gallbladder not urgent." Her voice was calm, tidy like her small travel case, and the book she laid flat beside it, an old copy of Wuthering Heights, spine frayed from decades of hands. She didn't speak to me the first evening, and I didn't offer. We exchanged only polite nods between blood pressure checks and menu slips. Quiet suited me. But the next morning, over eggs that tasted more like paper than food, she looked up and said it like someone commenting on the weather. My son shoved me once she said, eyes fixed on her fork. Just once, but that was enough. I didn't ask her why, or when, or what came after. She wasn't offering a story, just a name for something that had stayed unnamed too long. I stared at the chipped edge of my tray. "Mine never touched me," I whispered, "but I can't breathe around him either." She didn't flinch, just nodded slowly like that was enough. And maybe it was. We didn't share details. No dates or apologies or reasons. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel like the only one sitting in silence, pretending nothing had happened. Later, when the lights dimmed and the hallway settled into its usual hush, Lila reached for her book. I reached for my water. And when she said goodnight, I said it back without thinking. The words didn't feel borrowed this time. They felt like mine. That night, the quiet in the room feels different. Not heavy like before. Just waiting. I ask the nurse for my phone again. She hands it over without question. I scroll slowly, past the names I don't need, past the ones I've stopped answering. Then I land on her. Noelle. My daughter. My first. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. Not since Aaron came storming in with accusations that she was stirring trouble, turning me against him, trying to fracture the family. And I let myself believe it. Because it was easier than asking what he was hiding. I stare at the name. The photo is older in a graduation cap, smiling too wide. It still makes my chest ache. From across the room, Lila's voice breaks the quiet. Sometimes it only takes one call. I don't look at her. Just press the button. 1 ring. 2. 3. Hello, her voice. Then Mom. She doesn't sound angry, not even cautious, just unsure. I blink fast. I'm okay, I say first too quickly. I'm at the hospital. It wasn't serious. I know. She cuts in. They called me. You still had me down as your emergency contact. That surprises me. I thought Aaron changed that. Thought he changed everything. I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me, I say. I always did, she answers. Quiet, honest. We don't talk long. We don't try to fix the years we lost. But her voice softens near the end. Ivy's asking about you, she says. She's old enough to remember now. I close my eyes. That name, my granddaughter, feels like warm light breaking through frost. When I hang up, the screen stays lit a moment longer before fading to black. Lila doesn't ask how it went. She doesn't have to. I place the phone on the tray and fold my hands in my lap. They're steady now. Tomorrow will come. But tonight, something opened. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe the start of it. The pharmacy bag rustles in my purse, half filled with the prescriptions they sent me home with. I head straight to the bank after the clinic. There's still groceries to buy, and the rent check is due by Monday. The line is short. I wait behind a man depositing cash, tapping my fingers against my coat sleeve to stay focused. When I step up to the counter, the teller greets me by name. "I'd like to check my balance," I say. He types. The screen glows in his glasses. Then his brow tightens. "You only have $194, Ms. Hartwell." I blink. That can't be right. My pension cleared 2 weeks ago. He scrolls. It did, but most of it was withdrawn last Friday, under power of attorney. I feel the words hit before I understand them. Power of attorney. Aaron. I'd signed it years ago, just in case I ever needed help. In case there was an emergency. Not this. Not to empty my account while I was lying in a hospital bed. My throat burns. I press my hand against the counter to steady myself. "I didn't know he used it," I say quietly. The teller lowers his voice. "If it wasn't authorized in writing recently, you may want to speak to a lawyer. We can begin the process of revoking it, but we'll need some documentation." I understand. He hands me a form and a pen. I take both without shaking, because the fear I felt 2 weeks ago has given way to something sharper, clearer. Aaron took what he wanted, but not all of it. Not this voice. Not this step. I sign the form. "We'll be in touch," he says gently. I nod, thank him, and walk out with the paper tucked safely into my bag beside the bottle of pills that now carry a different kind of weight. This time, I know exactly what I'm carrying. Aaron's message came just after noon. "Be there at 6. Don't make me wait." I didn't reply. I just boiled water for tea. 2 mugs. One for me, one for whoever showed up first. At 5:45, there was a knock, not a bang, not a slam. Just a firm, measured knock. I opened the door to a man in plain clothes, Detective Morgan. The social worker must have followed through. He introduced himself quietly, stepping inside without glancing around like Aaron always did. He didn't ask where to sit. He waited for me to lead. I laid out the forms from the bank, the signed statement from the hospital, the bruising report. Morgan read each one without rushing. "I'm not here to arrest anyone," he said gently. "But this is enough to start. Financial coercion, elder abuse. We'll take it from here." He placed a folded copy of the revoked power of attorney on the table in front of me, just as the front door swung open. Aaron. Loud, smelling of cologne and resentment. "Why the hell is his car out front?" he barked, then stopped cold when he saw Morgan. "What is this?" Morgan stood slowly, badge out. "Your authority has been revoked, Mr. Hartwell. We're opening an investigation. You'll receive formal notice by mail." Aaron's voice cracked. "You set me up." I stood too, but didn't raise my voice. "No, I protected what's mine." He looked around like something might help him and excuse a crack a way back in, but there was nothing left for him in this house. He turned and slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. But the walls stayed still. I sat back down. Morgan took a sip of the tea I'd poured earlier. "It's strong," he said. "It has to be," I replied. And we moved on to the next page. I move through the house like it's new to me, touching door frames and corners like they might answer for what's been missing. The silence is no longer heavy. It's hollow. A space waiting to be filled. The hallway closet sticks when I pull it open. I haven't been in there in years. I find the box near the back, tucked under winter coats I no longer wear. It's labeled in my handwriting, Noel. My hands hesitate at first. Then I lift the lid. Inside, envelopes. Cards, photos. I recognize the birthday card I bought her for her 30th. I'd mailed it. It came back 2 weeks later. Returned to sender stamped in red. I assumed she'd moved. I didn't ask. Beneath it are letters I wrote after Ivy was born. They were never opened. Then photos. Noelle at the beach, hair damp and clinging to her face. Noelle holding a tiny baby, cheeks round and eyes bright. And then one I've never seen. A girl with wild curls and paint smudged across both cheeks. She's holding a paper sun, grinning like the world hasn't disappointed her yet. I stare at the image, my fingers tighten around the edges. Ivy. She must have sent it. Or tried to. Aaron had tucked it all away. All of it. Quietly, methodically. Every gesture. Every bridge. He didn't just isolate me. He erased the evidence that someone else ever cared. I sit down on the hallway bench and hold the photo against my chest, the cardboard cool against my skin. This is what he took. And maybe this is what he couldn't destroy. I slip the photo into my sweater pocket. Then I gather the rest of the box and carry it into the kitchen. It's time to set a place at the table that should have never been empty. I opened the curtains that morning. First time in a long while. The sun was soft, not demanding. The air still carried the bite of late winter, but I set out 2 mugs and stirred the cocoa slow. At noon, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Noelle stood there, Ivy at her side. She gave me a small wave, not hesitant, just unsure of where we were starting. Ivy clung to her backpack straps and half hid behind her mother's coat. I smiled, not wide, just enough to let her know I was real. "Come in," I said. "It's warm." They stepped inside. I didn't say, "You've gotten so big," or "You look just like your mother." I just handed her the mug with the little blue elephant on it, the one I used to keep for visiting kids who never came. We sat. No explanations. No rewrites of the past. Just quiet then, cocoa, then stories. Ivy warmed first. She showed me a drawing she'd made in school, me apparently, with silver hair and a green sweater. I asked her if I really looked like that. She grinned. Noelle and I traded glances like women crossing a fragile bridge. We didn't name the missing years. We didn't need to. At one point, Ivy stood and walked over without a word, wrapping her arms around my waist as I sat. I held her back, not too tightly. Just enough to remember the shape of connection. My phone buzzed once from the side table. I didn't look. Aaron hadn't called? And if he did, I wasn't answering. Later, after they left with leftovers and promises to visit again next week, I went to my bedroom. I pulled open the drawer, slipped the revoked power of attorney papers into a folder, and locked it. Then I went to the kitchen drawer and found the old envelope marked groceries, the one I used to hide cash in, back when I thought I needed to. I lit a match, watched the corner catch, and dropped it into the sink. The flame burned quick, quiet, and it didn't leave a trace. The tablecloth is wrinkled, the candles are crooked, and the icing on the cake leans to one side. It's perfect. Ivy insists on lighting the candles herself. Her little fingers move carefully, tongue poking out the side of her mouth like it helps her focus. Noelle watches with a soft smile and catches the match before it tumbles. I sit, hands folded at the table set for 3. No silver. No linen napkins. Just paper streamers. Ivy taped up herself and a card she drew in, marker me holding a giant spoon with the words, "Best grandma ever," in shaky block letters. There's carrot cake. Not store-bought. Noelle made it from a recipe she found in my old books, the ones Aaron had boxed up and shoved in the attic. It tastes like cinnamon and butter, and something that feels like remembering. Ivy leans in after the first bite. "Did you like it?" I nod, too full to speak. "Not from cake. from this. It's the best gift I've had in years, I tell her. And it is. The doorbell rings sharp, but not startling. Ivy's head jerks up, but I wave a hand. It's all right. I open the door and find my neighbor standing there with a carton of eggs and a grin. Laid fresh this morning. Thought you could use them. Thank you, I say, and I mean it. I tuck the eggs in the fridge and return to the table. Ivy's finger is sneaking toward the frosting. Noelle swats it gently. Laughter floats up and settles into the walls. I don't check my phone. I don't draw the curtains. I don't reach for the deadbolt. The house isn't waiting for the worst anymore. It's holding something else now. And for the first time in a long time, I let it.